Hello, welcome back, y'all. I'm excited once again to do more drafts. We are inching closer to the start of the regular season. We are currently 7 days away from the main slate, and we are 4 days away from the season officially kicking off. And yeah, we got quite a few Best Ball Manias to still attack. I've been doing a few more offline, off stream, but I did promise to do 2 more with y'all and record them. I'm going to try to get some DraftKings one. I know we're getting closer. I'm going to try to see if tomorrow I can probably pop on, do a live stream, hit a few best balls while going live. If you guys are available, tomorrow's Monday, Labor Day. So for those who are free, feel free to come on in, and that would give me an opportunity to knock out a few DraftKings best ball. Without a further ado, let's get this thing started. We are currently waiting for one more person. It's been quite a lot of news that hit the waiver, hit the news, right? News feed. We were getting a lot of information. One of them being Jalen Coker. Jalen Coker was just put on the IR after getting announced to being the starting slot for the Carolina Panthers. We kind of thrown off with that information, but they did re-sign Hunter Renfrow to now man the slot position for the Carolina Panthers. One of the other news, guys, I'm going to admit it, it's a big time you know better for me. I don't have much. I probably have about 6-7% of him. Drafted a few Deontay Johnson from the last time we last spoke and did this stream. He got cut from the Cleveland Browns. Huge you know better. The same guy who got caught off from the Pittsburgh Steelers, then to the Baltimore Ravens. I even think before that to the Houston Texans. He's had a lot of bad cases, and I was just strictly looking at stats and opportunity cost and hoping he could possibly beat something towards the later rounds. Thankfully, the last draft we did, we ended up drafting Jalen Wright over him, and that didn't impact me as far as stream goes. Here we go. We have pick number 5. One of the guys that we keep seeing on the board here has been Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, CeeDee Lamb just went. Why don't we try to go a different route with this draft? Nah, let's stick to CMC. CMC is the route we're going to go. CMC has been the guy I've mentioned. I'm going to try to keep raising my current exposure that I have. I think I'm up to 27% now currently with CMC. Saquon Barkley is not a bad pick, especially in this format of half PPR. But we are coming close to the end of best ball off season and drafting before the regular season kicks off, and all our drafts become active. So because of that, I want to continue to grab CMC as much as I can. We have here, let's pull up the main board here. We have, let's see here, CMC, we got Justin Jefferson, Saquon Barkley, Nico Collins, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Malik Neighbors, Puka Nacua, and there goes Brian Thomas Jr. going in the back end of this draft along with Ashton Genty. So far, we are looking good. So we're currently in the middle of the draft. So we're going to kind of get an idea, some type of strategy that I've been utilizing lately with my off-stream drafting is, especially in best ball formats, there's always a dip with wide receivers. But if you can anchor your running backs, that's also a really good start. I know in the first draft, I believe I did with y'all on stream, I did Josh Jacobs and CMC. Let's see where we're at the wide receiver position here as we're coming closer here. A few guys just went off the board that I was interested in. not opposed to Brock Bowers. We have Bucky, Irving, Ladd, McConkey, Josh Jacobs just went. Just speaking about that. Let's try something different here. Why not, right? Let's go with a little Brock Bowers. Get that started. Brock Bowers, the number one target out there in Vegas, and is the wide receiver, the tight end, everything. I mean, this offense, he will be the focal point of the offense. Everything is going to run through him. Chip Kelly was just brought over. I mentioned this before in previous streams. 12 personnel, a lot of 12 personnel. The focus will be Brock Bowers is quite arguably now the best tight end in the league. You can argue that if you like. I believe in it. Even as a rookie, breaking the records that he did, the rookie records of receptions. Guy is incredible. And the fact that he's only getting better, it's insane. We're going to also do something very different today. I'm going to go quarterback here. We got Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson on the board, as long as they don't get picked up. If we get Josh Allen, I am more than happy to take that. Let's go ahead and get Josh Allen. I was interested in taking Lamar Jackson, but I want to do something different with the drafting of quarterbacks and trying to build different builds. Yeah, different builds here as we're doing this draft here on Underdog. Make sure, y'all, if you guys are watching this, make sure to like and subscribe, please. Helps me out. Like the video, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Please share along with friends. I plan as of next week, Sunday, to start streaming live. And I want to make sure I get more content out for you guys. So back to the Josh Allen conversation, getting an elite quarterback. There's a tier of elite quarterbacks for fantasy. It's the Lamar Jacksons, the Josh Allens. Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels is in that conversation as well. Those are the kind of guys I would prioritize there and try to grab early on and then kind of build around it. The other thing I kind of want to focus on today, I know a lot of people like to force stacks, and Josh Allen might be the perfect person to draft because he has so many pieces to his offense. It could be Dalton Kincaid this year. It could be Keon Coleman, who I'm a big fan of. This might be the year he shoots up. Khalil Shakir. You have, Elijah Moore, if you're going deeper into it. There's a lot of guys. James Cook is a guy that I'm probably going to take an eye or a look at, but James Cook just went. So there goes me not really focusing on this. But yeah, let's see here. Ted McMillan would be a great option if he's still on the board, especially with the news that we got of Jalen McMillan. I'm going to queue him up here. There's a good chance he might be gone if you're drafting really, really smart here. It's a bunch of red badges they all probably know. That's going to put him in the driver's seat right now. Even as a rookie, he should get a lot of opportunities. This is also a good opportunity for Xavier Legette, who is currently wide receiver 2, to be the guy. If Ted McMillan is gone here, Terry McLaurin still on the board, George Pickens, and Jameson Williams. Ted just went off. I am very interested here. We're going to go with my picks here. I have shown you guys drafts where I've gotten Terry McLaurin. George Pickens is wide receiver 2. Jameson Williams could be that guy as well. I like JMO. Let's get JMO here. We are going to be banking a lot on offense, on his upside potential. He's going to spike a lot. He's got the capability of really giving you a week where it can shoot you up that board and put you in good position to hopefully end the year where we all want to be. And that's competing for $2 million. Let's see here. Cortland Sutton wasn't a bad choice. That was another option I was looking into right there. Terry McLaurin just went off. Breece Hall, James Conner, Joe Burrow. The Joe Burrow guy, who does he have? Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Yep. That makes all the sense in the world. If you're going to grab Joe Burrow there, it's current ADP, I believe, is at 62, 61 or so. But when you have that stack, why not go get Joe Burrow? DJ Moore just went off the board. I love Calvin Ridley. Do I have an opportunity at Calvin Ridley? Possibly. If not, George Pickens is another guy I'm highly interested in here. The running back position is okay. There we go, Travis Hunter. I'm going to take Calvin Ridley. I have a ton of exposure. Calvin Ridley is probably my second highest owned wide receiver currently for Underdog. Someone I'm willing to bank a lot on. Current wide receiver 1. I'm excited for what they got in Cam Ward. A lot of things that I feel are gearing towards the right direction. When it comes to the Tennessee Titans, I have a close buddy of mine who's a big Tennessee Titan fan, and we were just talking about this recently. I think, and this may be a hot take, but I think that their offensive line, as long as they stay healthy, they have a shot to be a top 10 offensive line. I really do believe that, y'all. And if so, that's going to be huge for a guy like Cam Ward and obviously Tony Pollard, who's a guy who's getting picked up a ton right now, a lot earlier than he was usually getting picked up. And a lot of the reasons to that, it's not just because of the take I just gave you, but because Tyjae Spears was just put on the IR. So he's already expecting to miss minimum of 4 games. Tony Pollard currently has that backfield completely to himself. So that's not a bad option. As we start getting closer to our pick coming up soon here. So if that offensive line ends up being that, y'all, Calvin really could start putting up numbers like he did at Atlanta before his suspension that he had. He was electric. He was so good. And honestly, he's just been missing a good quarterback. As we speak of Tony Pollard, there he goes. Yeah, it's a really good spot for him to give you return for his value. Quarterback, we have Josh Allen. Running back, we have Christian McCaffrey. At wide receiver, we have Jameson Williams. And that Calvin Ridley as the second wide receiver. And then we got Brock Bowers. So shortly, I'm going to get back to some conversation as we've been talking about the week 15, 16, 17 opponents are the playoff opponents. See what else we have here, y'all. Make sure to like and subscribe, please. All right, we're coming up here. Wide receivers, I will be honest, Rashee Rice news also broke. I don't believe I was able to talk about that last time. And if I didn't, here's another reminder. He is now going to be suspended for the first 6 games of the season. I'm going to take a shot here and see if he's still around. I love Matthew Golden here. Matthew Golden is another guy I want to take shots at. If Rashee Rice happens to be, then he's gone. He's another guy I wouldn't mind taking there, but you all have to understand the risk of drafting him. So he's going to be out the first 6 weeks of the season. So he should be ready to go by week 7 for you. And that's going to be huge, depending on your take on what he does and how big of a part of that offense he's going to be. He's always been, I mean, at least for the time he's been there, he's been a focal point for sure. This gives opportunities now for guys like Xavier Worthy and some other sleeper candidates that we will talk about as we get further along in this draft. Let's take a look here, see who else we have. Stephon Diggs is a great option. I also like Jordan Addison, suspended for 3 games. Jordan Addison and his rapport that we've heard as of last year and this year during camp with JJ McCarthy has been really good. Someone who hopefully walks in and is able to show that off. Let's see here. Tyron Tracy wins. So Jordan Addison is still on the board. We also like Sam Laporta. We already have Jameson Williams, but we also have Brock Bowers. Let's focus. I'm gonna take and Keon Coleman down there. Let's go with Jordan Addison. I'm gonna stay focused on Jordan. I've been grabbing a lot of him. I really like his opportunity, especially he's very efficient when he gets the ball. I feel like his touchdown opportunity are much higher than people usually give him credit for. And if you just look alone at what he did with Sam Darnold last year, that can spell a lot. We also have Matthew Golden, Jameson Williams, and I've talked about this as well in previous streams. Whenever you guys get a chance, if you haven't watched them before, feel free to go back to the channel and check them out. I have 3 other videos that I've posted. But one of my strategies, my personal strategies that I am trying out this year is grabbing players from their own division. We have Jameson Williams, we have Matthew Golden, and now Jordan Addison. We are currently just missing a Chicago Bear player, which we might be able to get to later. And we'll take a look as far as this draft keeps going. Let's see here. We have right here Roman Doomsday went earlier with Alvin Kamara, Travion Henderson, Ashton Genty, Garrett Wilson, Brian Thomas Jr. That's a pretty nice wide receiver room. A lot of young guys. Baker Mayfield just went right now on the turn with pick 84. Let's see what he goes with pick 85. It's interesting because this person's probably upset that Emeka Egbuka went before he picked up Alvin Kamara, taking Baker Mayfield option away from this person here, Smoke Turk. Let's see, Michael Pittman Jr. Do we have a shot? Keon Coleman? I don't know. Every time I feel like I keep speaking about a player, they end up leaving. Jordan Mason is another guy I've mentioned I have a ton of. I'm perfectly fine starting to go after some running back. Jordan Mason goes. Maybe I should stop talking about these players as we keep going along with this. I am here. We are pulling up, right? This kind of bucket, this area of players. We also have Khalil Shakir. I'm okay with it, especially when you have Josh Allen. I feel there goes Khalil Shakir, y'all. I might have to stop saying names. I'm open to Khalil Shakir. I really like him more on the DraftKings format due to the PPR. I think Keon Coleman, which I was avoiding saying his name, and he also goes there. I promise y'all, I have no idea what's going on here. Let's take a look here real quick. Let's see where we're going to go with next. We have Jaden Reed still on the board. His injury is quite interesting here. Let's see. Let's go running back. I like Jalen Warren. He's still on the board. J.K. Dobbins, Zach Charbonnet. There's some good options here. Let's go ahead. Jalen Warren should be RB1 to kick off the season. Caleb Johnson was also drafted to the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's been a lot of talks about him possibly being the guy who takes over later in the season. Jalen Warren is not a bad bet at pick 92 there. JCM, also known as Bill, or he would like to be called Bill Merritt, was just taken at pick 94. If he is RB1 for that squad, that's going to pay dividends. We are about to come back up here. We have our quarterback. Wide receivers are flying off the board. Jaden Higgins is still on the board. Chris Godwin is still on the board. I don't know. I think this is a good time to get a Chicago Bear. Luther Burden is still on the board. Austin Loveland is still on the board. Let's see here. Man, Mark Andrews still being here is crazy to me. I don't know if I want 2 tight ends, but let's go Luther Burden. He's not going to be the guy right away, and we're also kind of building a team set up for, to again, it's best ball, so the highest scoring player will eventually take over the starting spot. 3 wide receiver to start, 1 flex spot. Luther Burden has an opportunity to catch that at some point in the season, if not early on, spike weeks. Remember, we're not opposed to that as well. But I think Luther Burden's potential, upside potential, and what he's capable of giving you week in and week out is something you definitely want to add to your roster. The other options, of course, West Coast and Loveland. We get to start 1 tight end. I don't hate the idea of grabbing 2 tight ends that early, kind of starting with like 2 top tight ends and letting one of them rotate the flex position if they are that good. When you draft guys like Brock Bowers, when you draft guys like Josh Allen, even at the quarterback position, there's no need to force other positions early on. I've mentioned about that elite tiers of quarterback. When you get to those elite tiers, it doesn't hurt to really just keen in on just getting maybe 2 quarterbacks as opposed to 3. This is right around, I would say, round 9, 10, and 11 is usually when a lot of quarterbacks start going. And as we speak, Kyler Murray, Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott have all left the board. Let's see here. We look at the team real quick. We have Josh Allen at quarterback, Christian McCaffrey at running back, Jaylen Warren at running back. Wide receiver, we have Jameson Williams, Calvin Ridley, Matthew Golden, Jordan Addison, Luther Burden, and at tight end we have Brock Bowers. We have the NFC North, y'all. Detroit, Green Bay, Minnesota, and Chicago. I don't hate getting Chris Godwin here. Again, I'm learning my lesson not to mention the name, but I like Chris Godwin here if he falls to us. Boom. There you go. It's going to keep happening. Should I just start naming the guys I don't want? I should. I probably should. We're going to probably focus in on some running backs real soon here. I don't hate the idea of going QB here. I'm going to do my best not to mention some of these guys just so they don't get taken away. I'm going to go with Justin Fields, and you're probably wondering, well, how are you planning to stack Justin Fields here? There's ways to stack Justin Fields. But Justin Fields is also someone that you don't really have to stack. It's nice to stack. But Justin Fields usually hits his upside potential because of his legs. And that's not necessarily bringing someone with him as far as a pass catcher goes. But there are plenty of options later on. We can still get Braylon Allen, who we're going to start needing running backs really soon. Mason Taylor, if I wanted to get another tight end in my tight end room as a backup tight end for me. And if you're really trying to dig deep, I've done this in the past, and I've gotten guys like Jeremy Ruckert, who was a tight end of his at Ohio State, and I believe has an opportunity to shine there. All right, we got Tank Bigsby on the board. Braylon Allen leaves. Guy I was really looking at, and Javonte Williams. My God. That is literally the 2 guys I had my eyes set on. We're going to take Tank Bigsby. We have not heard any announcement yet, as far as I know, as who the RB1 is going to be in Jacksonville. I think it's Tank Bigsby. I think they're all going to have a role when it comes to guys like Etienne and who's the other general? Vishal Tutin. And I think that LaQuint Allen is also going to have some pass catching opportunities. So they might be rotating a lot of guys. Tank Bigsby has been in rumor talk. We talked about this in previous streams. Tank Bigsby gets traded. He's probably going to get traded to a team that's going to want to utilize him. So I think getting him where we got him is also not a bad move. All right. Kincaid is gone. Josh Palmer is gone. They really don't want me to stack Josh Allen. Honestly, this is really digging deep. There are guys later that we can take a look at, but Josh Allen is kind of another one of those guys too. You know, I've mentioned it. He's probably easier to stack, but in this case, people have been taking him. Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid, Josh Palmer. It's a pretty sharp room we're in right now. A lot of red badges, a lot of experienced drafters. They know what we're aiming for. But I do think, just like Justin Fields, Josh Allen's capable of it. But the only difference between Justin Fields and Josh Allen is Josh Allen's not dependent on his legs. He still is capable of doing things by the passing of the ball, right? He's gotten multiple touchdown games. And the pass catchers, as far as the Joe Brady offense out there in Buffalo, they spread the ball a lot. We haven't seen since before Joe Brady came on board. We really haven't seen anybody with a high target share like they had with Stephon Diggs. All right, y'all. We're getting closer here to another pickup. We got. I'm okay with getting Ray Davis. I want to talk about someone we can pair. I'm cool with that. I'm just not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna stay quiet. There's no reason to talk. Every time I say something, am I streaming live? This is wild. All right, Ollie Gordon goes. That's perfectly fine. Brian Robinson Jr. still on the board. I'm not that interested. Let's add to our tight end room. I know we have Brock Bowers. I'm more than happy to get. You know what? Let's get Hollywood Brown, y'all. Hollywood Brown is very intriguing with the news of Rashee Rice, with the news that we've gotten. Even Jalen Royals is expected to not play week 1, which is this week, Friday. Chargers at Kansas City. Game will be in Brazil. So something to keep an eye on. Hollywood Brown was hurt a lot last year. We know what he's capable, especially when healthy. When he was with Lamar, he was putting up a lot of good numbers. In Arizona, he was hurt most of the time, but when him and Kyler connected, they were able to really put some points on the board. They also play together at Oklahoma. All right, let's see. Who are we coming up with here? We can go tight end. We can go running back. Should I mention who I'm interested in? I mean, I at this point, I don't even know what to do. I do like Najee. Najee is a really interesting find. Let's go Cedric Tillman. Where are we? We got 6 wide receivers. I like Tillman. Tillman also he's going to be playing the NFC North this year. Cleveland will be. So they're going to have games here with teams like the Chicago Bears, who will be playing them. I believe it's week 15. Yep, week 15. And then we have Green Bay, who plays week 16, and Chicago will also be playing for week 17. San Francisco, we have Christian McCaffrey. Usually here, had I not had Josh Allen, I would have been open to the idea of getting Cam Ward right around this area here. But there was no need for it. I like this quarterback room. These are 2 really solid fantasy football quarterbacks. Justin Fields is someone I think we should be drafting more of in home leagues this year. I've done a few drafts already. I got a few today to still do, but I got a few Justin Fields already in the 2 out of 3 drafts that I've done already. I love that for fantasy. All right, let's pull the board here. Jadon Blue, Hunter Henry is gone. Nick Chubb is someone I mean, obviously, we all loved Nick Chubb when he was with the Cleveland Browns. But after all those injuries he's had and how long it took for him to also get signed, I don't know. I have some caution with him. And I think a sleeper this year, especially for best ball, is Dameon Pierce, y'all. Dameon Pierce, rookie season, was incredible. Really, truly incredible under that offense. And once they brought in a new OC, things shifted for him. And it was an offense that didn't really fit what he does. And I think now with their new OC comes from the Rams, I believe the run scheme that now they're going to implement back is very similar to what he had his rookie season. I think he ends up being a very sneaky player. And with the way our running back room looks, I may take a shot at him. We'll see if I get a shot, because it seems like every time I throw out a name, they're gone. Instead of just throwing out names, let's just queue them up. This person I am interested in here at this point. Won't mention any names. Leggett, I don't mind mentioning because we have 7 wide receivers. Xavier Leggett, this is your year. This is your opportunity. There he goes. He's gone. I'm telling you, I have a magic trick. Every time I say someone's name, Jalen Coker is going to be out for a bit, so that will impact him. Okay, Chigaquanco, let's go. Najee Harris to add to our room. There's no guarantees right now that Omarion Hampton is going to take that backfield completely all by himself, maybe rushing 80 to 90%. Is he fully capable? Yeah, absolutely. First round pick. He's fully capable of that, and he's a really good running back. They also signed Najee Harris. And before his injury, there was a lot of talk about how much he will play a role in that backfield. I think now that we're hearing he has a shot at playing week 1, he's back in this conversation. He was getting drafted within, like, his ADP was around in early hundreds, honestly, like early 100 to 111, I would say was his range. And we're getting him at 164. And a lot of streams, and a lot of drafts that I've been doing off streams, they're picking up a lot of Najee Harris. I think he just fits the best ball format. And I think he's a good option moving forward. I don't mind a backup tight end here. Don't have to force it. Tyjae Spears is also not a bad option. I know he's out for the first 4 games, but I'm not opposed to getting guys like that when he's not going to be my starter. This room, we're probably looking at about 4. We're at 4. We're probably looking about 5 to 6 running backs, depending who we get. I could still add to the running back, to the wide receiver room. I'm always open. We have a lot of guys we're taking shots with. One of the guys I am interested in is still on the board. I will talk more about him once I'm up. I'm kind of hovering over his name. He is absolutely an option. As Adam Thielen goes, Adam Thielen was not a bad pickup, especially with Jordan Addison being out. I would have loved that more had I had J.J. McCarthy to stack along. Torrey Horton is the guy I want to pick here. You see here, little news tab. He wins the number 3 job. They signed MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who was a player we got to see play for Green Bay, obviously with Aaron Rodgers, and someone we also got to see play with Kansas City just recently. I believe he signed with the San Francisco 49ers. We'll see how they start deploying him. Honestly, they need wide receivers over there. They are so depleted at that position. So many injured players across the board, honestly, on offense for them. But with all that said, Marquez Valdez-Scantling was also with the New Orleans Saints last year, which I thought was interesting because of his familiarity with the offensive coordinator now for the Seattle Seahawks, who they just brought on. And I thought might have a shot to make the roster. Well, seems like Torrey Horton got his opportunity and really shined, played really well in college, also played well in the preseason, which gave him the opportunity now to take over as got him as wide receiver 3, right? So you have Cooper Kupp, you have JSN, and JSN is going to be manning the slot. Doesn't really need to play on the outside. Is he capable of playing on the outside? Is an outside receiver? Yes, he is. But where he truly gets a lot of his effectiveness is runs after the catch, yards after the catch, and it's going to be coming out of the slot. That's where he's truly dangerous. I really believe that. And then you have Cooper Kupp, who used to be a slot man. He'll probably be manning outside, probably rotating in and out. But I'm interested. Cooper Kupp is quite. There's a lot of question marks about his impact this year and what he's going to be able to do. I think for PPR formats, he's going to fit because he's always been really good when targeted. But as far as like yards after the catch, that's not something you're really relying on. And that's kind of why I took Torrey Horton where I took him in round 15. A burner. He's tall. He's big. He really has just, hey, you look at my offensive room right now, my wide receiver room, and you'll see nothing but spike week guys. He's fully capable of doing so. All right, let's take a look here. Running backs, tight ends. Harold Fannin Jr. is out there. We have Tajay Spears, Woody Marks, Rico Dowdle, DJ Giddens. We mentioned about getting about 5 to 6, right? Well, this is our opportunity, right? Should we go Tajay Spears? I think Rico Dowdle is really interesting too. Let's go Rico Dowdle. Rico Dowdle is going to have a role. I know he's Chuba Hubbard's backup. Chuba's also been someone who gets hurt very often. That's not why I'm drafting him. Obviously, that's an opportunity that he gets as someone who started for the Dallas Cowboys last year. But I also think as a pass catcher, he's going to have a lot of opportunities with the Carolina Panthers, and now news of Jalen Coker being out. They're going to find a way to get him on the field. And I think when Rico Dowdle's on the field, it's going to give him a lot of options in that passing game as well, as he is a pretty decent pass catcher. All right, we're coming up to round 17. There are 2 more rounds. We can go tight end here. There are a lot of options. I like Harold Fannin. Don't mind guys like Darren Waller. We can go down that route. Brock Bowers is by week 8. The reason why Harold Fannin is in the conversation, and I'm going to keep mentioning him because these 2 teams have 2 tight ends. Now, if they really want to stick it to me, they can, because I have 1, and they could do that right here. If so, that's fine, y'all. I ain't worried about that. But Harold Fannin is going to be someone who's going to get a lot of opportunities. We talked about Deontay Johnson getting cut. I think a lot of that also played a role, was that Harold Fannin has now taken a bigger role. Harold Fannin is someone who's not only going to play as a tight end, who they already have David Njoku, right? Harold Fannin is going to be playing wide receiver as well. Someone who is a threat, a big threat. And I think Cleveland's going to find a way. Obviously, they drafted him. They're going to find a way to get him even more involved in that offense. The last preseason game is usually very telling on who's out there or not. Harold Fannin Jr., you weren't seeing much of him this preseason. A lot of that to do with possibly his current role on this team, which we should see this upcoming Sunday when the big slate really comes forward. As we talk about Sunday, we are 11 picks away from the final pick of this best ball draft. I just want to remind y'all, my goals, my plans are to record more. I'm going to try to do a live tomorrow. I'm going to do a live for y'all tomorrow. Make sure to tell people about it. I'm going to send out some messages, and I'm going to try to promote it a little bit and see who would love to hop on. But truly, I just want to get on live, and I want to try to knock out a few more drafts. I got one more underdog draft that I promised y'all that I would be doing, and obviously some DraftKings one that I would like to tackle. I don't think I'm going to be able to get all 5 like I would have loved to do, but I'm going to give it my best. So by going live tomorrow, I'm going to give it a shot. I will make sure to let everyone know. For those that do follow, I'll probably put it in my description or my comments, the time that I plan on hopping on. So make sure to keep an eye out for that. Also, we are drafting on Underdog Fantasy. If you look below, I have my promo code and the URL code where you can sign up and they will match your deposit. All right, y'all, we're a few picks away here. Let's see, where are we going to go here? Running back might be the go. When I look at Christian McCaffrey, yeah, Jalen Warren, Tank Bigsby, Najee Harris, Rico Dowdle, yeah, we're going to need some more options there. I'm okay with the tight end room, and the quarterback room is just fine. We mentioned Dameon Pierce possibly being a sneaky player. The other one we're hearing more about is Blake Corum. It looks like what we thought was supposed to be the move last year, and there he goes, was supposed to be the move last year to relieve some work off of Kyron, who was getting tons of work. He was getting 20 plus touches a game. It sounds like this year might be the year they're going to start implementing that. Something to keep an eye out. Let me just make sure there's some other options out here. I think I do want to go running back. Kyle Monenga is fine if Dameon Pierce somehow gets selected here. Kyle Monenga could be in the running there, and he does not. All right, y'all. I guess this is the best way to do it, right? To end this draft with the guy I mentioned earlier and my cautious approach to Nick Chubb. Dameon Pierce, I think you're going to see him early and often. as soon as this weekend. We're going to take Dameon Pierce here to round out our running back room. Let's see how the rest of this draft shapes out. Got Elijah Arroyo, who's another one of those tight ends, just like Harold Fannin Jr. Elijah Arroyo came out of Miami, University of Miami, who they also utilized a ton, lining up at receiver, just very versatile. Harold Fannin kind of has that ability too. Mike Gesicki, as we've known, does the same as well. There goes Kyle Monangai, someone we just spoke about. We're not too sure right now who the lead is there, because both Kyle Monangai and Roschon Johnson have both been hurt. What we do know is that DeAndre Swift is RB1 for the Chicago Bears. The other guy, usually the backup, this is Ben Johnson's first year. We've seen what he's done in Detroit with guys like Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. We'll see how much he starts deploying those backs back there. I guess a lot of it is going to be Monangai and Roschon Johnson, who's going to be more of the goal line touch guy. And obviously, once we figure that out, he's going to be a huge pickup for waiver wire ads. Whichever week that is. It may be as soon as week 1 when they play the Minnesota Vikings on Monday Night Football. All right, y'all. The draft is completed. The last pick of the draft was Sean Tucker. Let's take a look at what we have on our team. Quarterback, Josh Allen, Justin Fields. I paused to let y'all know I didn't stack neither one of them. That's not common. A lot of people usually in the best ball streets usually stack their quarterbacks. I think because of the example I was trying to give earlier, that you don't really have to stack these guys. It ended up working out pretty well that they went unstacked for this team. We'll see how it shapes out. Maybe this is a team that wins it all. Not a bad strategy. Again, I would only do that with those type of quarterbacks. I think the other quarterback that I'm thinking of is Jalen Hurts. I think Jaden Daniels obviously falls more into that elite tier in my opinion, but I do like him having more of a pass catcher next to him, and there's also a ton of options later on. These two are my quarterbacks. One has bye week. Their bye weeks don't even overlap. One has bye week 7, the other one has bye week 9. My running backs are Christian McCaffrey, Jaylen Warren, Tank Bigsby, Najee Harris, Rico Dotto, and Dameon Pierce. I like the route we went here. We have 6 running backs. Not a lot of guarantees here with RB1s outside of Christian McCaffrey on who has more of a solidified role, and this is why I wanted to make sure there was a little more depth at this running back room. At wide receiver, we have a ton of guys that if they were all able to hit on their current weeks together, these are the type of guys that are going to shoot you up those boards as far as standings go with your matchups. We have Jameson Williams, Calvin Ridley, Matthew Golden, Jordan Addison, Luther Burden, Hollywood Brown, Cedric Tillman, and Torrey Horton. At tight end, we got Brock Bowers and Harold Fannin Jr. The goal here ultimately is I just drafted quite arguably the best tight end in football and the best tight end right now in fantasy football. I need him to stay on the field to really keep this team going, because if something were to happen to him, having just Harold Fannin Jr. is a lot. Harold Fannin would make it a little more difficult. Obviously, we'll see how quick he gets into this role that we were talking about earlier. But I still think it's going to make it a little harder. But I've mentioned before that the tight end position is usually the position that gives you the most zeros in, and that's kind of the position that you're willing to take that risk with. Like, if there's any position, I can't do that with the wide receiver position, can't do that with the running back position, and I cannot do that with the quarterback position. So if there's any room that's going to be thin, this is the room that I'm okay with being thin. And the way the draft worked out, I think that this is a pretty decent balanced team. not one of my favorites, which is perfectly fine too. I like to get different looks at how I draft, but I don't hate it. And if we reach our ceilings, that's going to be a really good thing. All right, y'all. I am so grateful, honestly, for y'all and thankful that you guys are even sitting down and watching this with me. I love drafting. I'm very passionate about what I do. Fantasy football is something I truly love. And I'm excited to get this thing going. I'm going to keep saying this. I am truly, truly excited. I have a lot of plans this week. I plan on putting more things out there. And yeah, I would love if you guys can continue to like, subscribe if you haven't already, and please share. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to throw that in the comments and let me know. This is a community I'm building that I would love for everyone to feel good in. And if you guys have any ideas or would love to throw some ideas my way, make sure to reach out. Again, my name is Felix Reyes. Just want to say thank you so much for joining the show. And I'll be soon. Keep an eye out for that time for tomorrow when I go live. Appreciate y'all. Peace.